faithful. I'm still your host, Matt Trask. We're still at Haggerty's, and this is still Jacob Markon. He is holding the future of electric guitar, and this is a radical departure. It's taken guitar builders about 70 years now to fully embrace the idea that a guitar could look like anything, absolutely anything, and to truly embrace form over function. Having said that, I do find these machines quite jarring, but they are very extremely functional. Tell us what this is.
All right, so this right here is a Strandberg Bowden original 8-string. I mean, just look at that. That's awesome.
Well,
I'm one of the few that think so, but that's cool looking.
It is. Holding it, I held it for a bit. You can see how there's a lot of features that are really good. The weird looking upper horn and the button, I would guess, balances it really well when you strap.
Ola Strandberg, when he was making a guitar, wanted to make an ergonomical, totally functional guitar.
Right.
And he kind of reimagined what a guitar should look like, right? So, first of all, he, of course, chopped off the headstock. That's super easy to notice because it cuts weight and helps the balancing point.
Sure.
Especially when you have a smaller body like you do. Now, this is a chambered ash body, which once again cuts the weight a little bit. And, I mean, for being an 8-string, this is like under 6 pounds, or like right at 6 pounds. And, I mean, it's got a skateboard for a neck. So, I mean, that's insane. And, you know, they do a lot of really cool things. They're using, like, space-grade metals for the bridge to cut down on weight, and it bounces perfectly. I can grab it from the back, strap button, and it hangs just like it would when you're playing it. And of course, he's got the cutout here, so you can hold it like your traditional guitar, very comfy that way. You got a lot of people that like to play the classical style. He's got the cutout right there.
Sure. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll sit, and it'll sit up a little bit higher. Right. And then, like, the way I usually hold it is classical, where it's like right here and then right at the bridge. He also keeps the input jack out of the way by kind of recessing it right there. And it just, you can't find an uncomfortable way to hold it.
1 second, turn it back over. It apparently has active humbucking pickups.
This has the Fishman Fluence pickups.
Oh, okay.
So the Fishman Fluence are once again an innovation in the guitar industry. For as long as pickups have been made, it's been coils of wire wrapped around a magnet. Like we were talking the PAFs.
Right, sure.
Fishman created their Fluence pickups, which are printed circuit boards squashed together around a magnet.
Oh.
Now,
science.
Yes. What's super cool about these pickups is they're like the best of both worlds from active to passive. I don't like EMGs. They're not personally my cup of tea because they're very sterile feeling and sounding. But if you're playing just brutal metal, they cut through the mix and they have really good touch response. But if you're playing something a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more open, you don't have an insane amount of gain on your amp, they just never sound good. And that's where passive pickups sound way better, right? They're much more open, they're touch responsive, very dynamic. Fishman Fluence is like a best of both worlds. Because they have really good touch response, very dynamic, just like, you know, a passive pickup. But they have, being an active pickup, they're kind of slight natural compression to the note. Like an EMG would. And what these have, not having the traditional make of a wire wrapped around a magnet, these have no pickup noise. These do not introduce noise into your
No
signal.
60 cycle hum whatsoever.
My volume knob is all the way up.
Wow. That's incredible.
I get no noise.
Huh.
And that's awesome, especially when you're playing a little bit higher gain, right?
Sure.
Your overdrive pedals or the gain on your amp tends to amplify that hiss and make it sound unbearable unless you're using like a noise gate, of course. Now, it won't kill all noise because you'll get a certain amount of noise from having just overdrive pedals and gain going, but it introduces no noise itself. The other thing it does is it allows you to get so many different voicings in this. You got your basic humbucker, and you got voice 1 and voice 2. Kind of thinned it out a little bit, a little less gain, and then you can pull this again. So you got several different voicings. You have combinations.
Oh wow, that one was different. Yeah. Infinite variety of pickup combinations.
Totally, and all of them sound good.
They
and
do.
You got your own, combination. I love these are the Fluence Moderns.
Okay.
We have a Charvel guitar down there that's got a different set of Fishman Fluence that have coil tapping. They
Okay.
sound like a single coil, and it sounds like an incredibly good Strat pickup.
Okay.
And then you push the voicing, or push the coil tapping in, and it sounds like a really good PAF home.
Okay.
So they're really versatile, and I've been super digging them.
I'm becoming more impressed with Strandberg Bodens by the second.
Right. Well, we got more to go on.
We got to talk about this neck. Many of you may have noticed quite quickly there are too many strings on this, and then you may have noticed, by golly, them frets are going every which direction. What's going on there?
Right. So this is a multi-scale guitar.
Okay.
It's something that's come about more in recent years,
Mm-hmm.
and it's of course happened because you've had an increase in extended range guitars, 7 and 8 strings.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting angrier and angrier and want to play heavier and
Mm-hmm.
heavier music apparently. So to compensate for that, if you have a traditional,
They are. Yeah.
if you got a traditional 25 and a half Strat scale length on
Right.
something like a 7th string, well, the tension isn't really enough on
Right.
that string to make sure that the intonation is clear when you're playing it, and that it has a strong timbre and sound to it when you're playing it. So it won't be a strong note.
Sure.
It will be kind of flubby and indistinct, which when you're playing full on metal and you're doing your super triplets or your bass picking, it's just not doable.
Right.
So they came up with multi-scale fan frets, and what that does is give you 2 different scale lengths. So
Okay.
everyone knows your Gibson has a 24 and a half
Mhm.
and 3/4 scale length,
Mm-hmm.
and then your Strat has 25 and a half.
Yeah.
Right, which for anyone that doesn't know, the scale length is the distance from the bridge to the nut of the
Right.
guitar.
Yeah.
And a shorter scale length, there's going to be a little less distance between the frets. Longer scale length, a little bit more.
Sure.
Right? The longer the scale length, the more the tension on the string, like I was explaining earlier.
Right.
So, on something like this, you start off with a pretty traditional scale length at the top,
Mm-hmm.
and then down to the bottom, you move to a longer
Sure.
scale length, which increases the tension, and therefore you produce a stronger, more distinct note, right? So on this particular model, since it's an 8 string and you're going down pretty low, I have a low E on this one, so
Okay.
it's like a bass, as you can hear. This is 26 and a half, so a full inch longer than Strat,
Okay.
down to 28-inch scale length.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is just open strings, 4 octaves. Wow. That's an incredible amount of musical territory right there. You were telling me that you don't usually play this guitar through this amplifier. What do you usually play?
I don't, and the reason is I'm using this guitar to record music, and I've gotten into plugins recently,
Okay.
which are basically software on your computer
Mhm.
that model an amp,
Mhm.
pedals, so on and so forth. There's a company out there called Neural DSP,
Okay.
which they're making plugins for people such as Pliny, Tosin Abasi, Noli Get Good, and they're just insanely good sounding plugins.
Sure.
Now, I, as an amp builder, love the sound of
Right.
2 amps in the
Yeah.
traditional, amp. You can't really improve on that. And most digital models or amps I've played just always fall short, right?
Mhm.
Well, the Neural DSP, they're making stuff that sounds insanely good.
Yeah.
And the thing that they do better than any other digital platform that I've played is the feel. It feels like a real amp.
Okay.
It's very dynamic,
Mhm.
and it's instantaneous touch response. You can, you can actually play it and feel
Mhm.
like, hey, this is inspiring, instead of, hey, this is digital, right? And that's usually what I use for this for a couple reasons. One is, with this guitar, I've been branching out into more like prog metal,
Okay.
prog rock, and you run the gambit of tones with that,
Sure.
right? And with my amp, I love it. It does the 80s hair metal sound or classic rock or blues or anything like that, or heavier blues. Really good, but it doesn't go from pristine, like I'm plugged into a soundboard clean,
right,
to ultra distorted.
Okay.
I hate my life.
Chant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hate my life, chant. I like that.
But the plugins do, right? I can go
Okay.
from a pristine clean
Sure.
to an ultra distorted, super fast riffing sound.
Where's my Molotov?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
And it works really well. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would encourage people just to check them out. I mean, they're pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. You've had this about a month now?
Yes, this was kind of a natural progression because a little over a month ago, I'm getting into prog metal more and more, like I said,
Sure.
and I bought a 7-string.
Okay.
I'm like, well, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Right.
And what's cooler than a 7-string?
Is an 8-string.
It's an 8-string.
So do you still have the 7-string?
I do.
Oh, you do. Do you play the 7-string much?
Not much, because I mean, I got it right here.
It's become redundant already.
A little bit.
How much time have you devoted to learning these more string guitars
Since
per day?
I've gotten this, in general, I try and play 1 to 2 hours a day.
Okay.
That's still my practice regimen.
Right.
And that has just shifted over to the time
To
on
that.
this one.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not as bad to get used to as you think.
Right.
It's like, hey, I got 8 strings. Well, I mean, I got an octave E,
Right.
so it's cheap. You just get to mimic your regular low E. So it's really about just adding that low B.
Sure. Well, and there's a lot of different styles. It kind of sometimes forces you, if you possess the ability and dexterity to play differently
Right.
than you would on say, a Lux Tone 6-string.
Exactly.
You can play like a bass line and tap.
Yeah.
You're going to demonstrate here in a second, I bet.
Something similar.
Right.
I'll play a little bit like Animals as Leaders for you guys. or
Hey,
something like that.
perfect.
But just a quick note.
Yes.
Is we got to talk about the neck profile.
We
real
do.
quick, 'cause
Yes,
this
thank
is
you.
another total innovation in the guitar industry. Since guitars have been made, except for maybe like square neck resonators, they've all been round, right?
Right.
Not with the Strandbergs.
Okay.
They call this their enduro neck profile, and it's a moving trapezoid. It's got 3 flat surfaces on the neck.
Yeah.
And you got your main one that acts as the kind of the spine of the neck, which kind of follows your thumb as you're playing down the neck, playing more lead. But then you got the top surface that will work if you're playing more, you're over the neck, and it being an 8-string, right? It's
Right.
kind of hard to wrap your fingers around.
Yeah.
Play
Yeah.
cramped position. It very comfortable. Your thumb just lines up right on the back of the neck there. And even if you're playing, you usually don't use this bottom one unless if you're doing some,
Sure.
higher strings. But when I first got that neck shape and I felt it, I'm like, that's like nothing. It is like nothing you've ever played
Right.
before. It took me a day to get used to it, but now I'm like, I don't know if there's a better neck shape.
Sure. And that could be my favorite part of the guitar aesthetic-wise. That is
Right.
beautiful. Turn it over one more time,
Yeah.
please. That is actually, that's woodworking art there, I would say.
Yeah.
My apologies, I find this a little bit, but that is gorgeous. What is the usual fretboard radius on these guitars, and what is this one?
Usual is 20-inch, and that's what this one is.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
20 inch. So that's super, super flat as
Yeah, it's
opposed to like a
flat as a
9.5 on a Stratocaster,
Yeah.
which would be much more rounded.
Yeah.
Well, we need to have somebody else say change your 8 strings. There's only one guy. Tosin Abasi says change your string. Give her hell again, buddy.